What's up, everybody? Mike Pendleton here, or Mikey P is known to most. And I've got the man, the myth, the lettuce, King Lettuce, young Peyton, joining me today. Peyton, sir, how are you? We're getting ready to talk all things MLB playoffs. We had a fantastic wild card series. I mean, what a divisional series we're set up for.
Yeah, an amazing week of wild card series. Not didn't end the way that Mikey P wishes it had ended, but it was still a fantastic week and a great week of series.
Yeah, I wish you didn't bring that part up. But other than that, it was a fantastic time. Listen, I will start there though, because as I did the podcast with Coach, on Friday, I had to talk about what that was like as a Red Sox fan when you go through it. And I've always said, if you lose by a run, you didn't deserve to win, right? If you can't put one run on the board, you don't deserve to win a baseball game. But when you just get mowed down and there's a performance like that, a performance we've never seen in baseball, you just sit back, you rub the dirt off your hands, and you go, "Good job."
Yeah, I mean, I that was rough for we can stop talking about it if you want to. We can talk about Tigers Guardians because that was a great series. I mean, they've been playing each other real quick. They've been playing each other for 125 years, Mikey P. Tigers now lead the series all time, 1,118 to 1,117. That's
I love
crazy.
that.
Isn't that
I
crazy?
honestly love that. As a bigger football guy than anything, I just revert back to the Bears and Packers. The Bears just picked up their 800th franchise win, and I was like, I wonder who's first. Oh, the Packers by 12. I'm like, I don't know when you're going to close that gap. I know the series was somewhat close for a while, but I love that. I think that's the beauty of baseball. And I think that is the beauty of what we saw in the wild card round, specifically, not to just bring up, salt in the wound, but as much of a Red Sox fan as I am, I'm okay with the Yankees winning because they showed up when it mattered. And we're not going to look too far back because we're going to look ahead to the divisional series, which start today, Saturday. But when we look at all things considered in the wild card round, I think there's a reoccurring theme that stands out above most. I don't know how you feel, and that's managerial decisions with starting pitching. It
Without
seems
question.
it seemed to either cave your team or propel your team. What did you make of a lot of the starting pitcher decisions we saw?
Well, you know how some of the decisions, or you know how I feel on some of these decisions. I said on the morning show, I think Thursday morning, Craig Counsell, what was he doing? Giving a opener for Shota Imanaga, something he hasn't done all year. But let's just try things new at the most important game of the season. What are we doing? But the Cubs, they moved on, so they're okay. Terry Francona starting Zach Littell. I mean, that was just not probably not the best thing you could do in an elimination game. He allowed he. It wasn't even that he started the game. It was that he allowed him to give up 6 hits after that in an elimination game. How do you watch him give up 6 hits against the Dodgers? I feel like again, when you're playing against the Dodgers, you give up back-to-back hits against those guys, and then you're starting to get the bullpen ready already. But 6 hits later, he pulls him, and at least give your team a chance to win because after that, the game was already over.
Yeah, I look at game three between the Red Sox and Yankees, and Schlittler is just dominating where Early was doing good, but he wasn't doing fantastic. And I think when you go from fantastic to good, that's when you start looking at your options. And for me, whether it's the Red Sox or it's any other team, Tarek Skubal goes out for Detroit and dominates, right? Garrett Crochet comes out and dominates. Now, I'm not saying you need to turn these guys around on 2 days rest to get 3, 4, 5 outs. But what I am saying is if you have all that trust and belief in your ace, where is that same trust in your second or your third? Because Peyton, you could speak to this. These managers make their decisions based off of most recent performances. So you're setting your wild card roster for a reason. Use it as such.
Without question. And you go back to Cam Schlittler and Kennelly Early, you mentioned, and he lived right up to his name. He was good early on and then was not good after that. Cam Schlittler made himself probably $50 to $100 million last night. 8 scoreless, 12 Ks, no walks. I mean, that's an incredible. He's a rookie, so the Yankees have to pay him 5 more years at just $770,000. But 3 years he becomes arbitration eligible. But he made himself big time money last night, Cam Schlittler.
And being in the AL East, it just sickens my stomach to know that Garrett Cole's on his way back. Yeah, they've got a lot of guys on the way back
He
for
looked like a young Garrett Cole. He really
yeah.
did. He looked like a young Garrett Cole last night. It was incredible.
And then he's sitting next to Garrett Cole in the dugout, during the in between innings. It's like, all right, is he just rubbing off on you? But one thing too, and I think this is also a talking point because as fascinated as we all were by that performance from Schlittler, there was a moment and it was huge. Coach talked about it with me. I'm sure he talked about it on the morning show afterwards on Friday morning. When Schlittler walks off the mound in the eighth inning and Aaron Boone looks at him and goes, "That's it." Peyton, as someone who's been around baseball your entire life, I'm interested to hear your thoughts because I know if I'm Cam Schlittler, I'm like, you need a gun to take me off the mound. I'm not coming off the mound, dude.
It's incredible because you look at the Yankees and their bullpen, which has been suspect all year. I know they have David Bednar, and you go to him in the ninth and things are okay, but the bullpen is suspect. However, he just gave you 8 scoreless innings. He's like, Coach, who do you have down there that's better than me? Seriously, who do you have better than me, especially tonight? No one can hit me tonight. Let me go 9. Let me go the complete game. That's definitely what he was thinking, but as the Yankees, it's a 4-0 lead. You got 1 inning to get 3 outs, and you got a 4-run lead. I think you're just trying to save his arm and not let it fall off for the future of the postseason.
Yeah, so I see both sides, right? Because I'm like, man, you're up 4. You just need
Yep.
3 outs. Like, if he gives up a hit or if he gives up a run, all right, pull him. But it's like, I also see, like, hey, in the ALDS, we don't want game 4 to come around and we need somebody. So,
Exactly.
what is your opinion on riding momentum? Because as we, transition to look forward for the divisional series, as we now hit the ALDS and the NLDS, as a baseball guy, when you look at how these teams are going to use their top aces, what is it for you? Is it the momentum they carry throughout the game? Is it preserving energy later in the series? How do you approach looking at starting pitching in the playoffs?
Well, it's you go to your starter. This is it. Like there's no tomorrow in every single game. You just say that to yourself. You're taking one game at a time, and if every game's close, you're going inning by inning. And yeah, of course, there's going to be some games if your starter just gets absolutely blown up and the game is not going your way. You're down 5 runs or so. Okay, maybe we're going to move on to the next game. Go to a low leverage guy. But if your starter is pitching really well, you're letting him go like as long as he needs to go, probably 100, 110 pitches, I'm thinking, right? I mean, you don't want to do anything more than that because then he's completely shut down the rest of the series. But all of these series coming up here, Mikey P, 5 games. So whoever's starting in game 1 will definitely see him towards the end of the series, which would be pretty interesting to see how managers use that. Because when we see the wild card series, your starter's going and that's it. You're not going to see that guy again.
As a Chicagoan, I am going to be a little biased and start in the National League because as we're preparing, you and I to record this preview show, I'm like, does it get any better? And I know what a casual baseball fan would say is Dodgers, Yankees. We just saw that. And it would have been more compelling if Aaron Judge had hit 5 home runs in the World Series and Juan Soto re-signed with the Yankees. We already saw that. I don't want the same song and dance this year. I'm sorry, baseball. I don't think that it lived up to the hype. So I look at the NLDS and I see Cubs Brewers, fantastic. It's going to light up the Midwest baseball fans. And then you've got Dodgers and Phillies. Peyton, does it get any better than this?
Not at all. Oh my gosh, Dodgers Phillies. I'm looking at that series all the way. You look at these two teams. Phillies won 4 of 6 regular season meetings, so we've seen a little bit between these two guys. Dodgers 18 runs against the Reds were the highest total for the first 2 games of a postseason since 1956 World Series. But is this our little mini World Series here of 5 games, Mikey P? Phillies, Dodgers? Because no team in baseball has won more games since the start of the 2023 season than the Dodgers and Phillies. Phillies went on an MLB best 55-26 home record this season. They're going to have home field advantage in this one. Ohtani making his postseason pitching debut. How does it get any better than that? He's entering the postseason 16 2/3 innings scoreless streak. So that's dating back a couple weeks. Now he's the first player to start as a pitcher and position player in a single postseason. Pretty cool.
I think you said it best. This is a mini World Series. There are no bigger stars. And it's kind of, credit to the Dodgers for the roster that they built. But when you look at this series with Shohei, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, the list goes on in LA. But then you have Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, the list goes on in Philly. This is what you want playoff baseball to be, built around stars. And respectfully to the other teams throughout the playoffs, they have one or two stars. Pete Crow-Armstrong really came into his own for the Cubs this year. The Brewers have Jackson Trio, who's another great young player in Major League Baseball. Obviously, Aaron Judge exists for the New York Yankees, but every other team has like one or two guys who are appointment viewing. It doesn't get better than the Dodgers and Phillies.
It doesn't. The supporting cast of both of these are stars on any other teams. Ohtani is swinging a hot bat right now. He's got 11 homers, 18 RBIs in his last 21 games. Kyle Schwarber led the National League in both homers and RBIs, but he's on an 0 for 14 skid with 8 strikeouts. Schwarber's 27 postseason home runs, however, are fourth all time. Now, Mikey B, can you name any of the other three if his home runs are fourth all time?
I can't. I can't even. I
What's a
don't even
wild
know.
guess? What's a wild? Oh, give me a wild guess.
I don't know. I can't even.
How about Jose Altuve is one of those guys? Was that crazy? Oh my god.
That
Yeah,
actually is insane. That's not who I think about when I think of playoff home runs, right? I think maybe Jose Bautista for the few times that the
yeah,
Blue
right,
Jays were in there. But no,
right.
and for me, looking at, let's just look at the Dodgers and Phillies, the biggest X factor. I will say this on the Kyle Schwarber side. I do think he is more important, with all due respect, than Bryce Harper, because as someone who grew up in Chicago and lived in Chicago during the 2016 Cubs magical run, I know how important Kyle Schwarber could be. True story, real quick, King Lettuce. I worked in sports retail during the World Series run,
Okay.
and I didn't wear the same shirt every single day, but we were allowed to wear Cubs stuff. Every game I wore Kyle Schwarber's player T-shirt, hit a home run. So it almost became a rule, like I had to wear it. But that is what you get with Kyle Schwarber. So when I look at the X factors, I think it's Kyle Schwarber and it's obviously Shohei Ohtani. Where do both of these teams fall in line? Does Kyle Schwarber need to be better than Shohei? Like, how can the Phillies get past the phenomenon?
It's the other guys. These two guys are fantastic. And Ohtani pitching is just ridiculous. He hasn't pitched since he's tossed 6 scoreless in Arizona a few weeks ago when the bullpen actually blew that game. He set season highs in innings and pitches in that outing. So we'll see close to 100 pitches, a normal start, if Shohei looks good and if he's pitching a good game and Dave Roberts lets him go. So pitch count is not a thing for him, which is going to be really fun for us to watch. And in his only start against the Phillies, Ohtani threw 5 no-hit innings at the Ravine a few weeks ago. So we watched that game. And Christopher Sanchez pitched in that one as well. He hasn't lost at Citizens Bank since July 31st of 2024. Since then, he's 7-0 with a 2 ERA in 21 starts, including the postseason. He's been phenomenal. He's starting game one. The pitching matchups off the charts. And Teoscar Hernandez for the Dodgers, the supporting cast is huge. He's hitting 417 with 2 homers against Sanchez. He also led the Dodgers with 6 RBIs in that wild card series. We haven't even talked about Bryce Harper. Are you kidding me? He's done everything he can in the postseason except win a ring. Harper is hitting 325 with 12 homers, 24 RBIs in 34 postseason games. Trey Turner's healthy now. We haven't even mentioned him. He won the NL batting title. Freddie Freeman came in third. Mookie Betts had a down year, but now he leads the MLB with 26 RBIs since the start of September. He went 6 for 9 in the wild card series. This is just going to be amazing. I'm so excited for this. I got the Phillies in 5.
I love it. I absolutely. That's why you're King Lettuce. But because we are here on the Coach and Company brand, we will have to throw in a few plays without looking too deep into it. I will ask you this: you mentioned all of the star power that we have. So when we just look at this Dodgers Phillies, without going too deep, would you look more so at the overs? Would you look more at the batting props? We do have some good aces on the mound. When you have such a superstar lineup against a superstar lineup, as a better out there, what would you say is the better play, to look at the pitchers or to look at the batters?
It's so hard because you look at two amazing pitchers against two amazing lineups. And when you look at that, I'm going with the better pitching every time, but not throughout the whole game because that's tough. You never know how long these guys are going to go. I like taking the under in the first five always, which right now I feel like is a 3.5, probably juiced to the under. But I just love those first 5 inning unders, and I've been hitting them definitely in the wild card series. We didn't see many runs in the wild card series, but that's because the Reds are just hot garbage.
So many teams struggled to get the bats going, and one of those teams, as we look at the other side of the NLDS, is the Brewers and Cubs. And I'll say it again, especially as a Midwest resident, it doesn't get much better than the trip right of I-94 from Chicago to Milwaukee, and it feels different. I know your family history. I know how much the Angels mean. I know how much baseball means to you. But I don't know that if baseball is any better than when the Cubs are in the playoffs. And now you get them in a divisional showdown. As much as the Phillies and Dodgers will get the spotlight, do you think this series is going to get slept on a little bit?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Milwaukee native Craig Counsell won a Brewers record, 707 games from 2015-23. He left them to take 5 years, 40 million deal with the Cubs. I mean, I'd take that money too, Craig. But Pat Murphy, who was the bench coach, took over as the Brewers manager. So there's history there. This is the first time the Cubs and Brewers have ever met in the postseason, by the way. Freddie P goes game 1. He led the NL with 17 wins this year. Pretty awesome year. He was 3-1 with a 3.4 ERA and 4 starts against the Cubs. He went 9-1 with a 1.7 ERA and 17 home starts, including an ERA of 0.75 in his last 5 starts. He was off the charts as of late, especially. The Cubs are going to have a hard time scoring in game 1. Peralta holding opponents to 135 at runners in scoring position. So the guys that the Cubs have relied on, Ian Happ, Dansby Swanson, Seiya Suzuki, those Happ and Swanson towards the bottom of the lineup. So those last 6 through 9 is huge in the postseason because pitchers are all attention on the 1 through 3 hitters, but not good numbers against Peralta for Happ. 2 for 32, Swanson 2 for 21, Suzuki 3 for 23. That's just terrible. And PCA and Kyle Tucker each 5 for 11 though. So if you're going to target somebody, I'd target one of those left-handers. But I got the Brewers taking game 1 with a masterpiece from Freddy. But this series is going to be awesome.
And the Cubs are at a huge disadvantage. Their stellar, outstanding rookie Cade Horton is rolled out for this series. That's going to hurt. And I say this not to be disrespectful, but it's just mind blowing. What makes the Brewers so good and they come in so underrated? Listen, I'm not here to just be like, oh, I'm a Chicago resident. I see the star power on the Cubs with PCA and Kyle Tucker and all that. With all due respect to that lineup, Bryce Terang's very good. William Contreras is very good. You talked about Freddy Peralta, but they don't have all these standout players. So what makes the Brewers such a good team?
Well, you just answered it in your question. You said he's so good. He's so good. They have so good 1 through 9. I mean, it's just an insane lineup. You can flip the 9 hitter to lead off the next day. The stuff that they do, the small ball they play is so impressive, but their pitching has been off the charts this year. Jacob Misiorowski, a huge part of that. He's expected to be available in relief in this series. He pitched in the All-Star game after just 5 career games. He looked amazing in those first 5, but he has an ERA of over 6 in 32 innings since coming off the IL in August. So it looks like to me there were some command issues from him when he came off the IL. So he just needs to know where his 103-mile-an-hour fastball is going when he gets rid of it. Seiya Suzuki for the Cubs, he's going to have a big series, I'm thinking, Mikey P. If you're talking about targeting guys, I think it's Seiya Suzuki. He has an extra base hit in 8 of his last 8 games straight. He has an extra base hit. Pretty impressive from him. But Milwaukee just so fluid throughout their whole lineup, and their pitching has just been fantastic.
Yeah, if you're a Cubs fan, I would really be worried about the pitching matchups in this series throughout. One thing on the betting side, King Lettuce, and if you are watching this, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. You can become a premium member of the Coaching Company YouTube brand here. Set your alert notifications so you always know when episodes like this drop, when we go live. All that much and more on the BTT Studios YouTube page as well. So make sure to check that out. But when we're looking at the betting side, without picking, batters or pitch, I'm not going to ask you the same question for every series, but there's a lot of talent on both sides, on the Cubs and on the Brewers, that got hot. Jacob Misiorowski is someone that you mentioned. Even if he came in as a spot starter or a Pete Crow-Armstrong for Chicago, I feel like these are names that a casual baseball fan will be like, oh, wow, oh my, these guys lit it up early. What would you say to proceed with caution, or maybe go for these kind of guys who rose to the occasion this year, but they don't have the pedigree or the resume to back them up in the playoffs?
And PCA has been phenomenal, right? Defensively, insane. Obviously, you can't bet on PCA catches. I wish you could. PCA covers center field, absolutely insane. But I mean, he's been phenomenal. Jacob Misiorowski, man, he's just been fantastic. That's why I kind of wish he would start a game so you could maybe take one of his strikeouts, but he's going to be a reliever. But they just have such a good starting rotation. They got Freddy P. Quinn Priester was fantastic this season. He'd be a number 2 starter on any other baseball team, maybe a number 1 if he's pitching for the Angels. But I mean, just really, he'd just be fantastic on any other team. And that's why Misiorowski is going to be coming out of the bullpen rather than him starting games. So when you look at a betting perspective, with all these different arms Milwaukee's going to come at you with, I kind of like the under in some of these games because it'll keep these hitters off balance. They're not going to get used to the same guy. And the only way they do get used to the same guy is if that same guy's mowing them down for 7 innings.
When you talk about Quinn Priester, would he have been good in like a Boston Red Sox uniform? I'm just asking for a friend. I
Yeah,
just asking for a friend. I don't know. I don't know anyone who may or may not have PTSD from him. Moving on, because I don't want to
get
keep you
Walker Buehler. Go get Walker Buehler instead.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, let's go get Walker Buehler, who, by the way, is now in Philly, I believe. I don't know where Walker is. It's amazing how a change of scenery helps people in Major League Baseball. But one guy who didn't need a change of scenery as we change scenes over to the American League is Cal Raleigh. Here's a guy that everyone's like, where'd this guy come from? He's been there. He's absolutely been in Seattle, sleepless in Seattle, and for my money, it's not voter fatigue, but for my money, he should be the MVP. I don't care about the batting average. All due respect to baseball fans like yourself, I know analytics matter. I know stats matter, but there is something about getting your team into the playoffs, winning a division title for the first time since 2001, doing everything that he did. I believe he should be the MVP. How much of a amazing season that he had, how much of a significance do you carry with that into the playoffs?
Well, first, I just think we're very lucky to see the Cal Raleigh season continue into the postseason, right? He led MLB with 60 homers, led the American League in RBIs 125 while playing 159 games, 121 behind the plate to make a very, very strong case for winning MVP honors over Aaron Judge. Raleigh had 3 homers against Detroit this year. He got hot down the stretch, had 7 homers, 5 doubles, 12 RBIs, and 15 runs over his last 15 games of the season. He's just been phenomenal. We're going to see that continue. There's no doubt about it, unless they find ways to pitch around him. But how do you pitch around him? Josh Naylor finished the season with a 12-game hit streak. Against the Tigers, Julio Rodriguez hit 364 and Randy Arozarena 320. Each 3 homers as well against Detroit this year. I got Seattle winning this series in 4 games.
Yeah, for me, I think Seattle really comes into their own in this series. And what I mean by that is, yourself, obviously watching the West Coast of baseball, I believe Seattle's a team where you're like, yeah, all right, maybe they're just good because they're a West Coast team and we don't know who else challenges them. Well, the Astros have dominated the AL West over the last decade. And so when you look at this Mariners, here's what I love about the Mariners. I don't even think they reached their potential this season, specifically their starting rotation. Do you think this may be the best underrated rotation that we'll see in the playoffs?
As far as numbers are concerned, you can use the term underrated, but these guys have been phenomenal for the past couple of years. George Kirby, Brian Wu has been fantastic. Has 20 strikeouts whenever he pitches against the Angels. I mean, they're literally they're just awesome. And Bryce Miller finished the season pretty well as well. But this is definitely an underrated rotation. You look at the numbers and you're like, oh, what do you mean? They're not very good. They had an off year. They were not very good this year. They really weren't. Especially George Kirby had some really inconsistency involved in his game where he would go 6 scoreless. He'd give up 7 runs the next game. We never really saw that from George Kirby until this year. Brian Woo's been pretty consistent all season. Definitely expecting him to keep that up.
If you had $100 in your pocket and walked up to 200 people and said Brian Woo, I think they think you were doing some type of Ric Flair and they would just start wooing right back at you. But Woo, Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Bryce Miller, I don't know that it gets any better than that. You know, and then their bullpen has also been very good this season. So I really think the Mariners can surprise some, and that leads to the granddaddy of them all, as they used to say in the wrestling business. And I don't love it because I have to give them credit. The Yankees and the Blue Jays. You know, I got on the mountain and I got on the pedestal and I talked up a in division matchup on the NL side. I've got to somehow talk about two teams in the AL East, and the Blue Jays and the Yankees. What is your temperature on both of these teams? Because yes, the Yankees escaped against Boston, but I don't know that Toronto really impressed me coming into these playoffs.
They didn't, but they're just such a solid baseball team and a solid offense. Their pitching does not impress me whatsoever. I think Kevin Goslin's pretty inconsistent. I think he's a really good starter, but I think he's very inconsistent. I don't think they have the depth in the bullpen. I don't think they have a great rotation. But when it comes to the playoffs, your rotation's shortened, which gives them such a better I don't know what am I looking for? An advantage here in the postseason. But this is the first time they will ever meet in a postseason series. Yankees Blue Jays. They're in the same division, but the Yankees and Blue Jays tied for first place in the American League. Each 94 wins this year. But Toronto won its first AL East title since 2015. As they won 8 of 13 against the Yankees, so they had the tiebreaker. The home team has won 10 of 13 meetings between these two teams this season. Toronto seeking their first postseason victory since game 4 of the 2016 ALCS. That was Jose Bautista era, right?
I believe it was one of the. I don't really care about long term team success or history. Give me the moments. Just
Yep.
give me moments when it comes to baseball, and I am so exactly. I am so excited for what we can see throughout all 4 of these series. You've
Yep.
given your predictions, and as we put a bow on this thing before we say goodbye, what would be the best advice you have from a gambling perspective? Because as we all know, as we both know very well, Coach and Company, the brand here, we're not just here for sports betting or sports talk. We love to combine the two. So, what is your best piece of advice for sports bettors who may be looking at a shortened series, maybe shortened starts for starting pitchers in the divisional series? How do you go about playing baseball in the playoffs?
Well, I'll tell you from experience from the past week, stay away from pitching outs. Oh my goodness. Oh, like I'm like sitting there like, no, don't get him. Don't go get him. But yeah, pitching outs, stay away from. I take the unders because, like I had mentioned previously, if a starter is in trouble, he will get the hook, and that's just how it is now. These are winner go home games, all of them. It's a series. Every game is important. Every pitch is important. They're going to start hooking guys in the middle of at bats. It's going to get that serious. And yeah, so I would stay away from pitching outs. I would play the unders because if the pitcher's pitching well, he's going to stay in the game for a little bit and keep mowing down the other team. If he's getting a couple hits off of him, if he walked a guy, I think he gets the hook and they go to somebody else. But these scores are going to remain low.
My biggest piece of advice is exactly that. We love to do it during the baseball season in May when nothing else is going on. All right, I got 5 people to hit a home run, and I'm going to pick 3 people on
Yep.
one parlay, right? Stop. It is
Mhm.
October. We may even see baseball in November. It is cold. The hands hurt, even with gloves. This is wood, right? So don't expect these balls to go flying. And Peyton King Lettuce, you are exactly right. One bad pitch, a pitcher can get taken off the mound in an instant. So
Yep.
for me, I would say the unders are a great play. Don't chase home runs in the playoffs. And we'll end with this. Do you think, especially from a gambling perspective, because you always want to go, oh man, that guy's 0 for 7 in his last, but it's the
Yeah.
playoffs. He's got to get a hit in this one. I would say, and I want you to give me your take on this, look more at pitching than you do at hitting come playoff time, because
Yes.
even though we don't know about the pitching outs, we have a better temperature and a better idea of where these pitchers are going to go compared to where these batters are going to go.
Yeah, but these batters, I would say if Ohtani is 0 for 10 and he's coming up in a big moment, man, he's getting an RBI. Oh my goodness, especially in front of the home crowd. But I mean, we're all sitting here waiting for like one of those Schwarber bombs, right, in the ninth inning, and Phillies fans go crazy. But once we get one of those, that'll be pretty fun. I do think these scores will remain low. So yes, I do agree with you at looking more of pitching than hitting, just because of the lack of runs I think we're going to see in some of these games.
And don't forget the all important run lines because they can be shattered
Yep.
in one swing of the bat. King
Yep.
Lettuce, thank you so much. Really had a lot of fun with this, man. We'll see if Coach agrees, and we'll see if we do this again for either the championship series or the World Series. We'll see if we're even back on Coaching Company, which you can see on Stadium every weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And like I said, you can become a premium member. Our emergency podcast, don't forget, we have the Monday Night Grind. We have weekday wagers every single day afternoon during the week at 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to check out DG, Robbie Hockey, and Marky Model there. For King Lettuce, I am Mikey P, Mike Pendleton. We appreciate you guys. Make sure to become a premium member, subscribe, and hit those alert notifications. We will see you guys, who knows when, but hopefully sooner rather than later, right here on the Coaching Company, a special presentation for the MLB Playoffs Divisional Series.